The global economic crisis hit young people particularly hard. Youth unemployment rates shot up in the aftermath and during 2008-2009, and the new Global Employment Trends for Youth report shows the current situation of youth around the world. What we see at the global level is that youth unemployment rates are stuck at around 12.7% at the global level, and in the projections for the coming years you don't see an improvement. And to an important extent this has been due to the situation in the developed economies. So if you look at the chart for the developed economies and the European Union, what you see here is the very strong increase due to the global economic crisis, and thereafter you see a slight decline with a confidence interval around it over the coming years. But by the end of the projection period, 2016, the youth unemployment rate in the developed economies has not returned to pre-crisis level. There was a different impact of the economic crisis on youth unemployment rates by region. Some regions were hit much stronger than others. In North Africa, then you see that during the economic crisis there wasn't actually much impact on youth unemployment. And only thereafter, during the Arab Spring, you see this very strong increase in youth unemployment. And it is very important to note that in North Africa, youth unemployment rates are already, or were already preceding the crisis at very high levels, above 23%, and due to the Arab Spring, they actually exceeded 27%. So for example, in Central and Southeastern Europe and the Commonwealth of Independent States, the impact was very strong, but you also see that in 2010 and 2011, youth unemployment rates declined a little bit. Still at very high levels, but at least there was some improvement as opposed to the situation in the developed economies, where you hardly see any improvement at all in recent years. A very important issue that we highlight in the report is the deteriorating quality of youth employment around the world. What we see in the developed economies is a strong expansion of part-time employment and temporary employment. These types of employment are important for young people because in many cases they are combining, for example, study with a part-time job, or they're having a temporary job while they are looking for a more long-term job. The issue what we're seeing at the moment is that the enormous expansion of both part-time work and temporary work suggests that in the developed economies, young people do not really have an alternative. They are forced into that type of jobs without a proper alternative. In developing economies, the issue of job quality has always been important because there are so few decent jobs available. And what we are seeing is that in many cases young people end up working in the family business, which may be an informal business or it may be in subsistence agriculture, to at least do something that contributes to the family income. So in developing economies it is very important that youth are not only supported in terms of the skills that they need to find a decent job, but are also supported in terms of entrepreneurship development and programs to get them going by themselves without being dependent on a family business or an activity that is not very productive. An issue that has drawn attention in more recent years, particularly in developed economies, is the so-called group of people, the people that are called needs, meaning people who are not in education and also not in employment. The importance of this group is that these people are not preparing for the labor market and also do not have a job at the moment. So they risk exclusion, social exclusion, and they also risk not being able to find a job at a later stage in their life. In the developed economies, this group of so-called needs had been growing very rapidly during the economic crisis. In developing economies, the relevance of this group is also that you see a large gender gap. So you see in a number of countries, including South Asia, North Africa, the Middle East, a large gap between these need rates between young men and young women.